Right now on RTV6, the prosecution rests its case in an emotional trial for a woman accused of hitting and killing 3 children.
And that driver herself took the stand in her own defense. We talk with the father of one of those victims tonight.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
And good evening to you. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. Tonight, jury deliberations are underway for Alyssa Shepard in that deadly October 2018 crash.
She faces charges of reckless homicide after the deaths of 3 kids. RTV6's Megan Santorum has been following the trial this afternoon in Fulton County, where she joins us live. Megan.
We spoke with the father of 9-year-old Olivia Stahl. He tells us that during the trial this week, he has felt every sort of emotion, and now he's just glad it's in the hands of a jury. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but our media partners over at WROI told us it was a very long and emotional day. Alyssa Shepard, the woman accused of hitting and killing those children, took the stand for the first time. People in the courtroom say she teared up a bit while talking about the crash, but managed to maintain her composure during her testimony and cross-examination. They tell us she didn't often take that route while driving in the morning and was unaware there was a school bus ahead of her. She said she didn't see the sign. Closing arguments just happened this afternoon, and at around 3:30, the jury started deliberating. We were outside the courthouse as family left. Olivia's father explained how he was feeling.
There is a little bit of relief in a sense that we're finally at this point where we're leaving it in the jurors' hands. The process of, having to go through the testimonies, the pictures and images and sounds and stuff was really hard for everybody in there.
We will let you know when the jury reaches a verdict, and then coming up tonight at 6, we'll have more from Olivia's father. Megan Santorum, RTV6.
Megan, thank you. Right now, we need you to look at these images. A breaking development right now. We're learning a person hit by an Indigo bus this morning was struck by a different vehicle first, which then fled the scene. Investigators say a silver or gray-colored GMC Envoy struck a man on the south side on Madison Avenue between Van Dyke and Warman. It sent the man into the roadway, and soon after, he was struck by the Indigo bus. If you know anything about this vehicle, we urge you to call 911 or report what you know anonymously via Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. We will have these photos in this story on the RTV6 app for you.
A court hearing to determine the future for people fighting to stay in their homes has been postponed.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen today, but at the last minute, lawyers filed paperwork to delay the proceeding. Residents of the I-70 mobile home park on the southwest side of Indianapolis first called RTV6 in August after getting a letter from the park's owner saying they and their mobile homes had to be off the property by this week. Well, after RTV6 got involved, so did Indiana's Attorney General. Last week, after a series of our reports, the AG's office filed a civil suit against the company Blue Lakes Incorporated. A restraining order is allowing the residents to stay in their homes until that hearing can take place. The hearing has been moved to 3 weeks from now. Well, big or small, a problem that affects you can change the way you live your life. And if you need help, you can reach out to RTV6. Send a message to us at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
A positive step today in the recovery process for Pacers star Victor Oladipo. Coaches say he will be able to play some 5-on-5 and half court in the next couple of days. Oladipo has been doing rehab this year after a leg injury in January. Ended his season in a game against Toronto at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Earlier this year, he had to get around to Miami gym where he was rehabbing with a brace on his right leg. This is a good sign that he can now start practicing harder, but he still is not cleared to play in any games just yet.
Now let's get your Storm Team 6 forecast, and we've been enjoying a pleasant fall day as we look live at the sun high in the sky from our tower camera downtown. What's in store for the evening and for Friday night football? Here's Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory.
We needed that sunshine today because look at these temperatures this morning. If you slept through the morning low, this is how cool it was. Lafayette at 31, Peru 31 degrees, Indy at 37. A frosty start for all of central Indiana. We bounced back nicely. 61 is the current temperature in Indianapolis, love it this time of year, you can get a 30-degree jump from morning low to afternoon high. With the sunshine, temperatures just above the 60-degree mark, and a light wind, it's a beautiful combination, which means we've got a great night for Friday night football. Just wanted to show you the core of the cold air is pushing to the east. The frost and freeze advisories and warnings are into the Buckeye State, just a few Indiana counties to the east. For this evening, great night for football. Dry, clear, generally speaking, and cool. Temperature 57 at kickoff, and we'll be down to 52 by the time the final scores come rolling in, and you'll catch Dave and Brad's Friday Football Frenzy highlights tonight at 11.
Saying goodbye to a beloved trooper who was trying to help another trooper when he died.
Today, the community came together in Kokomo to honor the life of 27-year-old state trooper Peter Stephen of Lafayette. Indiana lawmakers, leaders from the governor to the state police superintendent, they all spoke about him, and his friends on the force shared stories of his life. Trooper Stephen was affectionately known as Bo. His wife, Jessica, she says that she once swore she'd never marry an officer because of the nature of their jobs, but all of that changed when she met Bo.
For nearly 3 years, I would watch as Bo got ready for work. I quietly observed from afar as he would get each part of his uniform ready to go. I watched as he strapped on that vest and tied up his boots, each time knowing that it might be the last time I watched him do that.
Trooper Stephen is survived by his wife and his 5-month-old daughter.
Tonight, a new twist in the case involving a murder in Speedway and a separate shooting that sent the suspect in that case to the hospital. Today, the Marion County Prosecutor's Office filed charges of battery with a deadly weapon against Terry Brown. He is accused of shooting and wounding 39-year-old Vincent Edge Monday night in downtown Indianapolis. Well, Brown told police that he was the boyfriend of Vincent Edge's mother, Vicki Edge, who died after she was stabbed at her home in Speedway this past Sunday. Brown says he went looking for Edge Monday after an exchange, shot him in the leg. As for Vincent Edge, he faces a preliminary charge of murder for the death of his mother.
Police are actively searching for a convicted murderer they say slipped his ankle monitor and escaped home detention. Jamie Adams was on home detention for possession of meth. The Delaware County Prosecutor's Office says he has been on the run since October 3rd. Adams has a long criminal history, including a conviction of murdering a man in 1991, getting 60 years but getting out on parole in 2014. If you see him, call 911 and do not try to approach him.
A new strike against a major e-cigarette company today in Indiana. Another lawsuit filed against Juul. The suit argues Juul campaigned to promote and sell a highly addictive product as if it were safe, fun, and appropriate for recreational use for kids when it is nothing of the kind. This new case comes as federal and state health officials investigate a nationwide outbreak of severe lung illnesses tied to vaping. Juul responded to the new lawsuit saying, quote, "We never designed our marketing to appeal to youth and do not want any non-nicotine users to try our products as they exist to help adult smokers find alternatives to cigarettes." If we don't find homes for them soon, this shelter is going to have to start making some very difficult decisions. That's the message from Indianapolis Animal Care Services right now as they face a dire problem. They are completely out of room for dogs and cats, and they want to find homes especially for pets that have been there longer. Adoptions are currently free, and the shelter is open from 10 to 6 tomorrow and Sunday. We do have details up on hours, locations, and how to help even if you can't adopt. You can find all of that information at theindychannel.com or on the RTV6 app.
Still ahead at 5:30 on RTV6, the opioid crisis affects even those who have nothing to do with it. Behind the community efforts to keep dirty needles off playgrounds and sidewalks. Next on the Now Indy.
But first here at 5, you don't see them much anymore, but they were once a popular car manufactured right here in Indiana. And now they're back in the spotlight. How one event is breathing life back into the Studebaker.
And it's all about the temperature trend. It's friendly here for the first few days if you like warmer temperatures, but then you see what happens early next week. The transition may get a bit bumpy. I'll explain that coming up.
Acura.
The only name you need to know.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Welcome back. RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers is always on the hunt for news about employment that could affect you.
And good news tonight with job numbers Indiana has not seen in nearly 2 decades.
Our unemployment rate continues to drop. It was at 3.2% in September, staying lower than the national rate of 3.5%. The last time Indiana's unemployment rate was lower than 3.2% was nearly 20 years ago in December of 2000. Indiana's labor force participation rate stands at nearly 65%, well above the national rate of about 63%.
New developments in Washington's intensifying impeachment battle. President Trump's chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, confirms the allegation at the core of the inquiry against the president in a call between him and the president of Ukraine. House Democrats quickly pounced on Mulvaney's quid pro quo statements. He said one of the reasons Trump ordered military aid withheld from Ukraine was to pressure the company to investigate Democrats and the 2016 election. Now even Republican Congressman Francis Rooney isn't ruling out impeachment.
Whatever might have been gray and unclear before is certainly quite clear right now.
Meanwhile, the fallout unfolds as the president confirms Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, a main player in the administration's dealing with Ukraine, is resigning for unclear reasons. Well, history was made today.
Or should we say her story. For the first time ever, an all-female team of astronauts conducted a spacewalk.
ABC's Marcy Gonzalez takes us into outer space.
Hello, United States.
That greeting from high above Earth, part of a historic moment.
Wow. Okay. That is amazing.
Both of those astronauts seen outside of the International Space Station working to replace a broken power controller are women.
There have been many other female spacewalkers before us. This is just the first time that there have been 2 women outside at the same time.
The first all-female spacewalk completed by Americans Jessica Meir and Christina Cook.
Nice work, Christina.
Who paused to talk to President Donald Trump.
One small step
The first sitting president to speak to astronauts outside of their vessel in space since the 1969 moon landing.
I just want to congratulate you. What you do is incredible. You're very brave people.
You know, for us, this is really just us doing our job.
The history-making accomplishment celebrated across the planet beneath those humble women, especially by young girls who woke up early to watch and be inspired.
It's really cool. I mean, we usually hear about just guys on space, and it's really cool seeing someone with the same gender as me being out there in space and doing something so great. I think it can't be possible for anyone to do.
And the first all-female spacewalk was supposed to happen in March, but because NASA didn't have 2 medium-sized spacesuits, they had to change those plans. This was Meir's first spacewalk and Cook's 4th. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Great to see that history being made. Indiana has a rich history of cars, and now an upcoming talk is set to highlight the growth, decline, and resurrection of the Studebaker. During the 1920s, South Bend Studebaker Corporation was on track to become one of Indiana's largest automakers. But by the early 1930s, the company was fighting to survive. This November, Studebaker National Museum archivist Andrew Beckman will examine the car company's story in Studebaker's Renaissance, an illustrated talk at Indiana Landmark Center that is happening the night of November 7th. It was a good-looking car.
A lot of history there, too.
Yeah.
Whenever we look back at events, so for example, today, 30 years ago today, we had our first measurable snowfall.
Today.
And the earliest measurable snowfall in Indiana history. In total, we had 9.3 inches over 3 days. But what I'm getting at is when you look at the video from '89 and you see some cars, you think, wow.
Different time.
Yeah. Now, they could have been older than '89, but anyway, it's a time gone by. Instead of having frost on the pumpkin, we had snow on the pumpkin 30 years ago today. 29 in Crawfordsville this morning. That gets your attention. Most other areas were in the low to mid 30s. A frosty start for all of us. 59 in Crawfordsville, and the same temperature in Wayne County. In Richmond, otherwise, temperatures 60 or above, and the wind is pretty calm, too. I told you about the temperature trend. The warming trend, which started after we hit rock bottom this morning, carries our temperatures just to 70 degrees or a little above through Monday. Then temperatures fall off quickly and significantly because of a strong cold front. We're filtering sunshine just through some high, thin cirrus clouds. These are kind of perfect conditions where sometimes you'll see a ring around the sun. Don't look right at the sun, but look around it, and it's the sunlight being refracted or bent by the ice crystals that make up those cirrus clouds. Parker, he's ready to go for a walk. Look at him. He's sitting under the one ray of sunshine, beaming through.
I'm loving it.
And he's trustworthy. Look, no one's holding on to his leash.
That's Parker.
Gotta get that sunbathing on while you can.
That is hard to say. Parker Harker.
Parker Harker.
Yeah. Nice evening to go for a walk. Temperatures will fall into the 40s. Thanks for sending in the dog pictures. I'll take your dog for a walk too. Kevin.Gregory at WRTV.com. Temperatures tomorrow morning not as cold. The frost most likely in the eastern portion of the state, closer to the state line with Ohio. We'll start in the 40s. We'll end close to 70. It sounds better when I say it that way, right? Close to 70 instead of 68. 71 on Sunday. And it's not just a football game up at Ball State. It's homecoming. How about that? And beautiful weather. Noon, 61 degrees. Temperature as we go into the afternoon with increasing clouds. Chance of any showers minimal. We should make it into the upper 60s for the high. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not much happening. There is the increase in the cloud cover that's expected. We'll hold off on any showers and thunderstorms till probably Monday. Temperature at noon tomorrow, 59. Afternoon high temperature of 68. And that's pretty much statewide. From north to south, temperatures about average. 65 is our average, so 5 degrees above that to the south. And in the metro area, upper 60s. Sunday temperatures right at 70 or a little warmer. Monday a focus because it will be windy, independent of any thunderstorms that develop ahead of a strong storm system. We'll keep our eye on severe weather potential as the front comes through in the afternoon and evening and opens the door once again to much cooler temperatures as we get to Tuesday. And I would say this, next weekend it appears will be much cooler as we tiptoe into fall like this. So take advantage of temperatures around 70 this weekend.
Right. And
it's gonna be nice.
Make your costumes accordingly.
Yes.
All right, thanks,
Good
Kevin,
thinking. Well, it's hard to believe, but we have reached our final week of Friday Football Frenzy.
Yeah, today RTV6's Alyssa Donovan spent the morning getting revved up for tonight's game with Lawrence North.
It is Friday Football Frenzy, and we are here at Lawrence North, where the Wildcats are getting ready to take on the Pike Red Devils for their final game of the regular season.
Should be a great game. It's two teams that compete in the best conference in the state.
The team has a great crowd behind them. The cheerleaders, band, and student section hoping for a win tonight.
I'm expecting the Cats to take a dub.
The students are also flooding the stands for a good cause.
We're raising money for Riley Children's Hospital.
Their goal is to reach $15,000 by the end of the year, hoping to make a difference while they cheer on their team. The Wildcats have had a great season with some close competitive games. And tonight, they're prepared to finish the regular season strong.
End the season on a great note.
And leave them on the right foot for what's next.
I'm ready for sectionals.
When they play their rival, Lawrence Central.
I hope that we beat LC in sectionals because we haven't beat them in a long time, and it's finally our year to win sectionals.
And with this energy behind them,
we have the best student section in Indiana.
They'll have that final push to get them a win tonight and a win for their playoff game in 3 weeks. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Now let's give you a look at some of the games RTV6 sports crews will be covering tonight. Dave First will be live at Ben Davis on the news at 6. There's a top 6 showdown in Class 5A with Franklin at Decatur Central Lutheran and Traders Point are both 7-0. Scores and highlights tonight on the news at 11.
Still to come on the news at 5, it's something you cannot control, and it can be scary to experience when you're driving. What led to this semi-truck on its side in Indiana this week? Next, when the news on RTV6 continues.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
Hello and a very good day to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV Live, and we're bringing you live coverage of 2 murder trials today. First, a trial happening right now in Wisconsin. A woman named Ezra McCandless accused of stabbing one of her lovers to death. She says it was self-defense. The state says it was murder. Alex Woodworth was stabbed 16 times. His death, a brutal one. But the defense says that she killed him to avoid a violent sexual assault. We expect to hear from witnesses throughout the day, focusing on the statements that McCandless made to police after the incident in question. And out of Florida, a murder-for-hire plot thickens when one of the admitted killers takes the stand. Curtis Wright testified on direct examination yesterday against his former friend Jimmy Ray Rogers, telling the members of the jury that he struck Dr. Teresa Sievers 3 times with a hammer. And then Rogers, who also had a hammer, continued to brutally beat Sievers to death this morning. Wright was cross-examined today in court. He struck up a deal with the state, expecting to be sentenced to 25 years in prison in exchange for his testimony. Rogers, on the other hand, could face the death penalty if he is convicted. The person who hired Rogers and Wright is allegedly none other than Sievers' own husband, Mark Sievers. He will stand trial next. The cases have been severed. He also could face the death penalty like Rogers if he is convicted. We'll bring you live coverage from inside the courtroom throughout the day here on Court TV. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
Julie, thank you. It can be kind of scary when you have to sneeze while behind the wheel. And one truck driver making his way through Indiana can attest to that firsthand this week. A fit of coughing and sneezing caused him to lose control of his semi, and it rolled over. This happened Thursday morning in northwest Indiana near Hammond. Investigators say the driver of this truck experienced a spell of sneezes and coughs, and when he opened his eyes, he said he thought he saw a passenger car right next to him, so he swerved to avoid it. The Freightliner left the roadway and overturned with 30,000 pounds of aluminum inside. That driver had to be checked out for injuries, but he is supposed to be okay.
I totally believe it.
Oh, I get that too,
That is such a real thing. It just takes all over you.
Right, your hands leave the wheel, your soul leaves your body for a second.
Ooh, well, thank goodness he is okay, but now every single time I need to sneeze while driving, I'm going to think of this story.
Yeah, but then you keep your eyes open and on the road.
Oof.
Yeah.
What makes me need to sneeze. All right, all new at 6 p.m. People worried for their safety in their own neighborhood. People speeding down residential streets trying to get around a construction project. Working for you, we find out what's being done to protect those neighbors.
And now you're getting a real lifetime look at the RTV6 tower camera downtown. We've still got Kyle Mounts waiting to give you another look at your weekend weather on the Now Indy. You're watching the news on RTV6.